I don't like how that just cuts off. I hate how that just kind of cuts off and then just switches right over. Can people hear me? Yeah, people can hear me. What's up, guys? So I'm at the regional in Grand Rapids for what is it? It's the Mike Eaton Senior Memorial. He actually just passed away not that long ago. So lots of thoughts and condolences to the Eatons and their family and everything. Everybody here that runs this place. Really good dude, really cool guy that he's done a lot for bowling. Has obviously built a phenomenal facility that we have over here. But with me today, I've got Max himself. This is Mad Max. He is the guy that you can yell at for the website and everything that goes on there.
All to me, not him.
Yeah, he's kind of putting some stuff together for us, and that's why. I mean, we haven't done a ton with it yet, but there's some new things that we're introducing. He can probably explain a few of those things for you. But today we're going to talk a little bit about the urethane and everything that's going on there. Give us your questions, give us your comments, tell us how you feel about it, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. But first, I'm going to let him kind of chat a little bit about the website, the things that he's doing, some of the upgrades, some of the things that he's kind of been putting on there, and kind of take it from there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm Max. I'm actually from Versailles, Ohio, kind of central west Ohio, so it was a little bit of a ways up here, but turns out I was on vacation at the same time, so I kind of want to get a 2-for-1 there. So, yeah, I am the developer and designer of the 10pindoctors.com website. It's really neat if you could try it out. It's got a lot of different features and benefits like videos for tutorials, a store to buy equipment, but also definitely where you can get clinics and virtual lessons in, where you can really fine-tune your game in. Our newest edition is the knowledge base, we call it, where you can get different information on bowling balls and oil patterns. You can put in reviews for all of them. Put in on your arsenal, share them with others. I encourage you all to check it out and just put in, if you're, for example, we're bowling on Shark at this regional right here. I happen to be bowling this regional as well. I actually put in a review for that one in particular. You have to kind of play inside out, but put in some reviews, help the others users of the website help to know how to use this bowling ball, how to use this pattern, and it'll help.
My kid's going nuts back there. He's playing with a dog. We're in the camper. So I have the camper this week, and I've got it parked next to the bowling center. And so I've got the dog and the kid locked in the bedroom, and they're jumping around back there. So if you hear a bunch of noises, everybody's fine. Everybody's good.
Yeah,
so
kind of feel it too.
Yeah, we're bouncing around a little bit in here.
Yeah.
So hopefully the Wi-Fi is working pretty good. I'm just using my phone for the Wi-Fi and whatnot, but we should be okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about the urethane rule, some of the new stuff that's going on there. If you're new to this entire thing, the PBA just made a new rule where urethane, like bowling balls, have to be 78 hardness or higher to start at manufacturing test day. And this is just strictly PBA. So for those of you that don't know, this is strictly a PBA rule. Has nothing to do with your league. It has nothing to do with USBC. You can use these balls anywhere else. Any of the older bowling balls that you want to use, you could use those as long as they're USBC approved. You're good. You don't have to worry about any of that. This is strictly the PBA level. It's the regional level. It's the PBA 50 and the national level for this rule. The other rule is the 2-year equipment ban, basically. So any bowling ball that's over 2 years old, that will go into effect strictly for the national tour. So I know I've had a couple of people that say, well, our league goes by PBA rules, so they're going to probably change the league rules to that. And I don't know of a single league that ever goes by what the PBA goes by. Maybe it's just because the PBA and the USBC have been on the same wavelength for quite some time. Like they've actually been having the same rules until now. I don't know if that's what they mean, but no, the PBA actually has changed their way of going about the urethane and stuff like that. So just don't worry about it. If you're not a PBA guy, it's not that big a deal for you, but you can definitely, I'm surprised there's not a comment. Why are there no comments? Are the comments not working? Somebody comment just so I know the comments are working, because I'm seeing people fluctuate in and out. Maybe nobody can hear us. I don't know. I'm going to wait for a second.
Yeah. But like JR was saying, yes, the league and PBA don't really, you got the basic requirements of hardness might be something in this situation. You want to be above 72 out of the factory, or 73 it was. Yeah. But there's also the core requirements, the cover stock requirements. But when it comes to like the big stuff like this, PBA and USB or CC are kind of there, but league, you can throw almost any ball you want. So
Yeah, I had somebody made a comment. They were arguing with me for a little bit about the footprint of the bowling ball. And we can kind of try to explain that a little bit. The footprint is what's important here. Somebody was trying to say that there's no difference between a 68 and a 78. And that's just absolutely false. And they don't understand the benefit that having a bigger footprint in, especially on PBA tour patterns, what benefit that actually gives you to have those softer bowling balls that are going to pick up more. You got to think of like with urethane balls, they are meant to be early hook and controlled down lane motion, whereas reactive balls are meant to be later hook with sharper down lane reaction. So when the lanes are flat, when the lanes are really, really difficult, a lot of people like to really control the lane. That's why a lot of the PBA guys go to the urethane, is to really control the front part of the lane and control the back part of the lane, so we don't have to worry about overreaction or underreaction. The bigger the footprint, the more overall reaction you're getting in the entire lane, which allows you to go a little bit more left to right and make a little bit more motion on the lane, which also increases entry angle and can make it to where you're striking a whole lot more. So if you give these guys on tour that much more room than anybody else, what do you think they're going to do with that? I mean, that's all you need, that little bit of room. I know you guys are taking that the wrong way, but that's the only little bit that you actually need on the lane to make a huge difference. So, you know, the study actually showed that anything, what was it, 72 or I think it was 72 to 78, the change between those two were real negligent. It really didn't matter so much there, but anything below 72 was the problem, which is why they changed the rule to 78. So that way, even if it lowers the 5 points on average, like what they're showing, they lower by 5 points on average. Even if it lowers by 5 points, you're still only getting a 73. You're not getting low enough to where it's going to change the ball reaction, where it's going to change the footprint enough to make a difference. Now, when it was at 73 and these balls were getting down to 68, 67, boom, these were making a huge difference. These were, and you could tell the difference between these balls. Anybody that hasn't seen Ron Hicklin Jr.'s video on the softness of bowling balls, where he actually takes and purposely softens these balls to, I think he took one to like almost 50.
Yep.
And that ball hooked the entire lane. And he took one up to 78 or 79 or something.
Like he chemically softened them, and then he showed like on a sports shot, it might have been like, it could be like bare or any just like really flat pattern. He would miss way outside with a 73 hardness ball. It would just skid pretty much, try to read the fronts and just kind of die.
Yeah.
Then the 60, there's one that he did even at 65, 50, I couldn't only imagine. But 65, it would just, the footprint was so large that it would hit the outside part of the lane where it's really flat, recover so much and hit the pins, almost as if it was a tapered pattern. So
made a huge difference.
And that's why I was starting to wonder when I was bowling these regionals, like, why is it so much a deal to have the softness so high? Well, it makes a difference in your ball reaction, and definitely affects the motion down lane. And it's really an advantage for like a low rev player like me. I'm definitely not like one that's hooking gutter to gutter like other guys, but it does help blend out the lane, the urethane does. So that's the implications it can have for a player like me. But 78 is not going to hook as much. 73 is going to be, like Jared said, it's going to be a higher footprint, but also it's going to decelerate more. It's going to, because there's so much friction being generated, like a bigger tire, it's going to want to slow down more. And you can have a lot more entry angle into the pocket. So
yeah. So Rivs here says, do you think that the Buffalo also loses hardness over time, or is it completely different urethane? I think it probably does. If I'm being honest, I really think that it's just something to do with the chemical makeup of these new types of urethanes, these new materials that are being used, that's causing the problem. Because the urethane of today is nothing like the urethane that we used yesterday. So it's there. I don't know what it is about the new urethane materials. You can even notice it in a lot of different thumb slugs. People use different types of urethane, and man, these kids, man, I'm telling you what. Oh, continue.
Okay. The Buffalo, I know it comes out of the box at 81, and it could go down to 78 in about a few shots, but or about 10 shots, I should say. I'm not sure if that's as accurate, but even like the the gauge mist room. The mist room of a diameter could be anywhere from 2 to 3 hardness on a scale. So it could even be as low as 75, 76. So there's always a potential to miss it. But I don't know. I'll just wait for JR to get back. I don't know much about the Buffalo. I know it's from Swag, and it's definitely an effective ball, but I don't know if like the chemical makeup of the cover stock is going to make it change to the point that it'll lose hardness more quickly than like a purple hammer or a pitch black. I honestly don't know.
All right. Now that we done whoop the dog's ass. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't really whoop the boy's ass. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't do that either. All right. Guess I don't really understand this. Why look at it from a benefit standpoint? Shouldn't it be strictly about meeting specs? I mean, the benefit is that it actually brings the scores down a little bit, I'm hoping. I think it creates people using these types of bowling balls less, which would be a good thing. They're changing the lanes less, I would say. The lanes change really, really fast when it comes to people using urethane. So I think pair to pair doesn't get as sloppy. And then the reason why a lot of people use urethane is because certain people are choosing to use urethane. So when people are choosing to use urethane, it makes the lanes transition different. And if you're not also using urethane, you're seeing big transitions from pair to pair. If you're going to a pair that had urethane used on it before and you're using reactive, you're going to see huge transitions and differences. If you're already using urethane, you're not going to see those differences because your ball's reading the front and the middle part of the lane the same way as the urethane is. So it's just a huge difference there. What's this one here? If urethane gets soft after 10 shots, even if it starts at 78, it won't it become illegally soft after those 10 shots? Maybe no, because it won't get below 73, because that's what they're worried about, is the ball getting to a point where the ball gets too soft where it affects the footprint. So I guess legality, I'm not sure. I'm sure they're kind of putting that into the rule of saying this is why we're doing it, so that way it doesn't get that low. At least that's the way I would see it, because you don't want it to get to where it creates a bigger footprint. So
yeah, because the past rule was just like it was be at 73, but you always have the possibility of it going down lower. Well, might as well like raise the waters a little bit, and then we have the ability that if it is getting softer at a quicker rate, at least you have the like mist room of it can be at 74 or 75 as opposed to 70 or 71, pretty much.
Do you feel USBC will change the rule for urethane? They were checking balls at nationals this year. I think they kind of screwed the pooch in the beginning when they knew there was a problem. They didn't do anything about it, really. I think they probably should have. Will they now? I mean, we've kind of seen how USBC's shown their face. They don't really care to take a punch to the chin. So I doubt they'll back it up now. I don't know. I'd tell you about. No, never mind. I can't even mention it. I'll get in trouble if I actually say anything. So I'm going to keep quiet. But let's just say it's my belief from things that I know that USBC agrees with the PBA move, but they couldn't make that move themselves. And I think a lot of it had to do with not wanting to ban a bunch of balls, although they already did that to Storm, which was kind of weird. But they don't want to ban a bunch of bowling balls because then that costs those manufacturers a ton of money, which then could in turn really put a big hurting on these manufacturers, and then not have the money to continue to certify, not have the money to continue to pay the PBA, and it just causes all kinds of problems down the road. So that's just kind of where I think they're going with it, is trying to not bankrupt some of these companies per se. Okay. What's this say? Have the studies shown that it will only drop 5 points? No, there's some that drop more. And that's a problem. Wondering if that's what's really going on. But the study also shows that they gain points back. So if they drop the 5, when they sit, the oil kind of dissipates a little bit off of it, or when you clean it, they actually gain some of the points back up. So I guess it really depends. So it's not like it's going to drop 5 points every time. So a fresh cover is probably going to drop from 78 to 73. And then when they clean it, it's probably going to go back up to 76. And then when they get using it again, it's probably going to drop back down to 74, 73 again. I don't think it's going to go much lower than that if it does. I mean, honestly, I personally, I don't like the whole urethane thing because it takes away from, just from a sales aspect, running a pro shop, owning a pro shop. You got a lot of people that are trying to buy these urethane balls thinking they're going to benefit a league bowler when they're not. Right. And they're just not going to benefit a league bowler in most cases. So these guys are coming out and they're buying these balls. And it especially bugs me when people are like, well, my lane's hooked too much. I need a urethane ball. Well, that's not what a urethane ball is for. A urethane ball is the most hooking ball on the planet. The urethane actually hooks more than a reactive ball. It just does it all in the front and the middle part of the lane. You don't see it down lane. Now, that's the other thing that somebody was arguing with me about. Well, I can lay out a reactive ball to hook less and do the same thing as urethane. No, you can't. Because a reactive ball, if you take the surface down to, let's say, 320 to get it to hook as early as a urethane ball, now it's hooking as early as a urethane ball, but it's losing energy the rest of the way. You're never going to create angle. You're just going to force you to go left. You're never going to be able to get it to go right and continue back to the pocket. It's going to go left or right, and it's going to die, and it's going to miss the head pin to the right. Or it's going to overhook, and you're going to be through the face every single time. It's not going to be that controllable arc that you see from urethane. And that's where a lot of people get confused.
And a lot of people like to think of reaction in terms of back end reaction, but you also have to look at the front and the middle part of the lane. And that's where urethane is known to hook, is the front and middle. And even like JR said, like a house shot, you already have it configured for you with it being a tapered pattern. You got the Christmas tree where it's, a lot of blow on the front and a lot of friction on the outside. But urethane is going to make you have a lot much less misroom because it's going to read the front. You're not going to get through that ocean in the middle. And then, so it's kind of already configured for you on a house shot. Sport shot is where you want to blend it out. So,
yeah. And then Graham says not all leagues are house shots. So, which is true. And if that's the case, then more power to you using a urethane ball. But if you're bowling on a league pattern, which 99% of these people who are buying these balls are, it doesn't do you any good unless you're an old man senior who likes to play that, 7, 8, 9 range with 110 RPMs and they're throwing it 14 miles an hour and they just slow tumble it towards the pocket. Sure, I could see that because then a reactive ball would be over under for them. It's either going to hook too much or not hook enough. Use a urethane ball to kind of blend out that reaction. That's fine. I can understand that. But in most cases, you've got these guys that have got 350 rev rate and they say their lane's hooked too much and then they go to urethane and now they can't get the ball right of the head pin. And then they move their feet to the left, and now they can't get it to hook back to the head pin. Well, what happened here? How come these guys can hook? Because the PBA guys are just different, and they're bowling on something different. They're not bowling on the league patterns. It's a completely different environment, and most people don't understand that. Joe says, when you have clipped house shots and high axis tilt, you're a lefty stuck on your side. Urethane can be a good house shot. If you're a lefty and you're not going to see much transition, Sure. What do you think the usability of urethane will be on the tour at this new hardness rule? I think it's probably still going to get used a bunch, honestly. I just don't think you're going to see it be used for entire events like we did before. You're not going to see guys using purple hammers for 8 games straight. You're going to see guys using it for, the first game, 2 games maybe. And then once they get forced to go left, that harder urethane isn't going to track up in the front part of the lane like they're used to, or like it was in the beginning when you have your angles shut down, and they're going to have to go to reactive. There's a possibility these new balls could make the lanes easier by people using urethane, and that's generally what happens. The lanes do get easier when people use urethane because they create so much more carry down and they tighten up the lanes down lane, which is what we're looking for when the lanes are super flat because they fly down lane and you can't control it. So there's a possibility they could just get easy after a game or two and people are just going to start banging on reactive and scores will get even higher. We don't know until we find out. We're not really sure. But yeah, I think people are still going to use urethane to start, even with the higher hardness. Like I use that Buffalo, which is an 81, and I used it all day, but it was because it was on a short pattern. Never got left of 10 or 12 at the arrows. So that's the only time when you really are going to be able to do that. When you get on the long patterns, when you see these guys bowling on like Scorpion or Chameleon, 41, 42, 43 feet, and they're using urethane the entire time and they're still moving left and they're hooking it from fourth arrow. Come on. Like, that's ridiculous. You're not going to see that anymore. Not with a 78 hardness purple hammer. I mean, you'll get them to go 15, 14, 13, a little bit around the lane, but not like they did before.
Jared, what do you think? Who do you think on the PBA National Tour is like the most left you've seen throwing a urethane like purple hammer? I think Christian Ascona did it at the Cheetah Championship quite a bit. He projected it like probably about.
Christian tries to use it no matter what the pattern is.
Yeah,
I mean,
some other guys are like that too.
I'm surprised there's not a bunch of people trying to use it out here.
Butters, of course.
Yeah, but lefties really don't count.
Yeah,
when it comes to using urethane, I mean, they kind of get trapped into that. Like, they get trapped into using urethane. They're trying to blend it out. They're trying to create something over there because especially if they're really hard. If they're really hard, the lefties kind of have to do something, right, to create a little bit of shape, a little bit of smoothness. Otherwise, they're going to be screwed because they're never going to see the transition that the righties see. And that's what happens is the right side actually transitions and gets easier, right? And then the left side, if there's only 3-4 guys and you're not really following each other, the lanes really never transition, so they don't have a chance to really create hook spots or carry down to slow down the ball down lane. They just never get to see that. So they have it automatically with the purple hammers or with these softer urethanes. I think the left side is going to be not as good anymore when that happens next year. Not that these lefties aren't good enough, like Graham's good enough, Simonelli's good enough. Well, Simonelli's probably actually he's probably fist pumping over this because he hates everybody using the purple hammer. But even though he can use it, he just doesn't. He doesn't, I guess, know how to get it to slow down the right way. He hasn't worked with it enough, I guess. I don't know. You'd have to talk to him about it more. But he's probably the only lefty that's like, yes, get rid of that purple hammer. All the other guys are like, damn it, what's going to happen? Not that they're not going to bowl well still because they're all really good, but we don't know what's really going to happen. Will we see Belmo winning less? No, you'll probably see him winning more, actually.
I mean, he likes to use pitch black sometimes, but usually that's on the fresh. He likes to use the Phase 2 and XST3, whatever it was. Last storm equipment. He likes to move. He likes to loft the gutter cap, so was reactive.
Would be great to mention the shiny urethane for house bowlers. It's a popular choice all over Chicago. It's because Chicago has a bunch of bowlers that think they're good, but they're really not. I know. I used to work out there, so just saying. There's some league hacks out there.
I'm trying to remember if there's. I think was Carmen Salvino from Chicago. I think he was.
I don't remember.
But he was back in the day, so.
Yeah. But no, we're not going to see Belmo winning less. I think we'll actually see him winning more because of that rule. Because you're not going to. He was really good at getting the lanes to slow down and transition on his own. That's why before you saw him always kind of jump left quicker than everybody. Whereas now with everybody using urethane, he's not really able to do that because now he's throwing it at that urethane spot. So he can't really get his ball through the pins as well. Now, if less people are using urethane, it's going to be back like, 6-7 years ago before the purple hammer was really prevalent. He's going to be able to go back left faster than everybody and still get his ball. Because, I mean, does anybody really remember? Well, I don't know how many of y'all in the chat have ever gone and watched a PBA event where Belmo's bowling and you see him 15 boards left of everybody game one, and it almost seems like he just never moves. He was able to create these shapes, and EJ's the same way. He was able to create these shapes immediately from game one that nobody else could create. When urethane came around and really started messing up down lane, messing up the reaction, the motion down lane, Belmo couldn't really use that to his reaction or to his advantage. He couldn't go around it. So he kind of got forced into using pitch black. That's what I was talking about earlier. When all these people are using urethane, you kind of get forced into using it yourself. And if you can't really use it, you're kind of screwed. So he wasn't as good going. He got better with the pitch black. He did use it quite a bit, but he eventually figured out how to kind of shut his angles down in the middle of the lane and still get the ball to slow down. So he didn't have to throw it so far to the right to get the ball to actually corner and go through the pins. So he did pick up a little bit better, and you saw him make some more shows and get a little bit, but you did see a slump there. You saw him kind of fall off a little bit, and he kind of just blamed himself like he wasn't practicing much. I don't really think it was a lot of that. I think it was more the way the lanes were transitioning differently because of the amount of urethane that was being used on the lanes so much. I mean, it's kind of like with when it was the World Series. I think it was in 2015. It was either 2015 or 2016 when we were in Reno, and they changed all the patterns. And I was on EBI staff at the time, and we had scheduled to be on Extra Frame. Every PBA staff guy was on a schedule to be on Extra Frame to chat with the Extra Frame guys. I was the first one to go at 8 a.m. on Cheetah that first day, and they started talking about Belmo. And I think I've told this story before, but they talked about Belmo, and they were talking about how great he is and how well he was going to bowl, and he's going to dominate the World Series. And I basically told them that no, that's not going to happen. He's not going to bowl well this year. He's probably going to miss all the cuts. And sure as shit, he actually missed all of the cuts except for the World Championship. He cashed in the World Championship, but he didn't make any match play that year. And the reason I said that is because of the amount of volume that was in the middle of the lane. They loaded the front and the middle of the lane. And at that time, he wasn't nearly as good at getting his ball to slow down. So his ball was so over under all week, but he was good enough to cash in the World Championship, but he couldn't get his ball to slow down enough to strike like he did in previous years or even years after that. Because after that year, you never saw, and that year was when you saw all the lefties dominate. You never saw the patterns get back to anything close to that ever again. That's when they switched them up again, and you saw the fronts hook some more, and the middles kind of, you could see the middles blend a little bit better, and there was plenty of down lane motion. So he could get his ball to slow down in the middle part of the lane, and that's when he really started to dominate. That's when he won all of the majors over the next couple of years. So there's certain players, if you really pay attention to how they like to attack the lanes, what they're good at, you can tell who's going to bowl good and who's not. And you always see like certain groups of guys. If you see a certain guy near the top, you can bank your buck on certain other people that are going to start climbing that wall and get there as well. So you just have to pay attention to that type of stuff. Alternative ball surface prep is what I see. I don't know which. This one here. Alternative ball prep is what I see. Non-PBA people shining urethane like in the 80s.
I think they're referring to that MEK or whatever it was. I think that's where the hardness rule came back in the 70s or 80s. Like it had to be 72 then. They put like these different chemicals on that would.
MEK was a softener, but they're not going to. Polishing, I don't think polishing urethane is going to do much good. I mean, if you really like to jam it up the lane, sure. But I'm not so sure how well that's actually going to help somebody. That was a good question. Will this hurt bowling ball manufacturers' sales? No, I think it's going to help. Honestly, because now you're going to be selling a lot more of the high-end reactive balls instead. But I do think it's going to put pressure on pro shops, which is, I love it, to where pro shops are going to have to be better about how they lay bowling balls out. They're going to have to pay attention. They're actually going to have to find PAPs. They're not going to be able to just slap 3 holes in a ball and call it good. At least that's the hope. And that was why I loved the no balance hole rule as well, where they actually said to start plugging those holes. Pro shops needed to actually know what the hell they were doing for bowlers to get good ball reaction. But that's also why I fix so many layouts and so many bowling balls now, is because there's so many pro shops that don't give a damn and they just throw 3 holes in it. So I would like to see more people be held accountable for their pro shop work, but we'll see what happens. Oh, tinfoil hat comment. Tinfoil hat has me thinks they build patterns to make stars and drive eyes. I'm not going to comment on that. I have my own beliefs as well, but we're going to leave it at that. We're not going to say much about that. But I don't know. What do you think?
I think a good question is at one point with a 73 hardness versus a 78 hardness urethane ball, how would the pros be changing their releases? How soon would they be changing? We already know they're going to be changing quicker, but if they were to move in, let's say up the 7 or 8 board instead of the first game, maybe 3 or 4 board, especially if you're a lefty, would you begin more around it more and just kind of flowing it out to the gutter? Or
no,
more?
You have to roll it more, because the whole idea is to get them to start up quicker. So you have to roll your hand forward. You got to in urethane balls, you have to hit up on. That's why back in the day, the Mark Roths, the Marshall Holmans, all the guys that when they were going through the urethane baby days, they had to hit up on it. They had to really grab it and make the ball start up. You had to make it hook. That's why you'd see Mark Roth with his hand all beat up and chewed up, because he's squeezing on it and just giving it everything he
would loft the crap out of it.
Yeah. And he was just trying to make that ball hook as much as he could, but it's also staying further up the back and rolling up the back to get it started sooner. You want to get it to start reading faster. And you could do it with a little bit of surface, but you got to be careful how much you surface a ball with that much hardness, because again, you're going to make it hook too fast, and then it's just going to bail
It's going to
the
skid
rest
flip.
of the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a difference between like skid flipping and then like boomeranging or hockey sticking, which I see a lot with like reactive balls sometimes, but urethane blends it out so much better.
All I was trying to say is seeing bowlers use shiny urethane as opposed to PBA bowlers only throwing dull. Yeah, I mean, and again, the reason I don't see people using, or I don't see the benefit of using shiny urethane is because then you're taking away the whole benefit of using urethane at that point. You know, like the urethane ball is meant to start up early, and you're taking it to make it cleaner and basically not hook. I mean, you could just throw a plastic ball if you wanted that, right?
Unless maybe you're bowling a wolf, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and even then, yeah, I mean, I guess it really does depend on what you're bowling on. On leak patterns, I can't see it being a benefit to shine a urethane, honestly. What's this here? Sorry, I just jumped in the chat. Will the Purple Hammer urethane still be legal and manufactured? Yes, yeah, you don't have to worry about it. No, the Purple Hammer, I'm more than likely all they're going to do is they're just going to start a new run of Purple Hammers strictly for the PBA. I doubt they're going to take the current PBA or the current urethane out of play, just like pitch blacks. I think they're going to keep those in play, and they're just going to do different color. They're going to do a Purple Hammer with another different color pen or different color logos and labels, just to show the difference, so people know the difference of which ball's which. On top of the serial number, obviously, is going to show when and when and how it's made.
I still don't know if I'd say that 100% though on that comment, because I did see on that PBA article that was released about 3 weeks ago that there is talks not only that they had like a list of 10 options of what they might be doing come January 6th next year, and one of them was that
those were just, this is what we looked at, this is what we considered, and then at the bottom it said this is what we're doing.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah, so there was a decision that
but
they're doing.
It was in speculation, but that would be kind of radical to come up with something.
Yeah. No, they were spitballing. They were basically saying, okay, here's the 6 or 7 or whatever it was options we have, and then they put the decision at the bottom. Here's what we're actually going with, and then they wrote out.
Which I think their decision was good too.
I think it was great. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. The people that are mad are, mostly Brunswick staffers. And the people that are like, well, why ban a bowling ball? Why not just make a ball to compete with it? Well, because again, it's about the rules. It's about the integrity of the rule. It's about making sure bowling balls aren't, doing illegal things. I personally believe the USBC screwed the pooch, 40 years ago when it came to rules and regulations. I don't think we should have bowling balls that are as strong and cores that are this dynamic right now. I think it should have been leveled off. I think it should have been, here, this is where we're stopping, and that's it. No more new technology according to, whatever that rule was. And I think it should have been something like, it should have been hardness rules. It should have been differential rules, RG rules. They shouldn't have been allowed to get differentials up past 30, I think. They shouldn't have been able to get RGs lower than, let's say 250. I'm just spitballing numbers here, but kind of like that. They should have kind of put these rules in play from the beginning to make it to where we didn't get these ridiculous super soaking bowling balls that hook the entire place, to where now these bowling centers have to keep buying the newest and greatest, thickest viscosity type lane oils and putting out so much more just to accommodate these new bowling balls. I think it's all gotten kind of a little bit out of hand, but that's just my opinion on the whole thing.
I like that question. How's this going to affect Cheetah about middle?
Where is this at? How is this going to affect Cheetah? I don't think it's going to affect it all, because I think Cheetah was one of those patterns that some guys tried to use it the whole time, but Cheetah got easy to the point where you use urethane game 1 and game 2 maybe, and then after that you just jumped way left and threw it at the gutter with reactive. So I don't think it's going to affect Cheetah at all. Maybe guys like Christian Ascona that like to throw urethane a lot, but that's about it. I don't know.
Yeah. Being the lower or higher footprint, it might even be used longer because it's such a short pattern and you have to stay right of the gutter or stay right of the right side of the lane.
Other than Rash or Simonelli, is the anti-urethane consensus really shared by that many PBA pros, or is it just the squeaky wheel getting the grease? No, it's actually a lot more than you think. Most people just won't come out and say anything. There was a lot of discussion about this stuff over the last, I don't know how many years now. But most people, being on staff, won't come out and just say how they feel. kudos to Sean for actually coming out and say how he felt. So, yeah, I reported on it immediately when people started talking about it. I made that video years ago, and I got scolded by Hammer. They hated that I made that video, but turns out it was true. So it was one of those things that I kind of put my neck out there. I wasn't on staff with them at that point, but it was like, they could get mad at me like they did, and I don't know, I don't know how it was really going to hurt me at all, but still, it was just one of those things that you talked about because it was brought up a lot.
Even I misinterpreted that reaction from Sean Rash. At first, I thought he was just trying to jeer at Russo, saying like, why is this style of play? Why are you doing it like this? No, it was just he didn't like the hammer and how it was getting softer.
Yeah, I think what he originally was meaning was the shows prior to that were also being your hammers were being used on it.
I think he had a purple hammer, a pink widow, and one other urethane, and so I thought he was just like, hey, why are you bowling like this? So.
Yeah. Can reactive balls made before 822 be used for PBA regionals, PBA 50 tour? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that 2-year rule is only for national tour, but go to PBA.com and look at that for sure.
I think you're right.
I think it is just the national tour. They don't want to obviously hurt the pocketbooks of all the guys that are just trying to play the regional tour and just kind of get some games in, So most of the PBA guys, like 90% of the guys that bowl PBA events, national events, are on staff anyway. The only people that are going to be paying are the manufacturers. So you're going to see a lot more. The budgets are going to go a little bit crazy when it comes to, these guys drilling balls. And that does suck for the manufacturers, but for the most part, it's not really going to hurt any bowlers. Like, it's a little different for me. I pay for some balls that I get. Like, a lot of the times the review balls that I do, I get all the companies that send me bowling balls to do reviews for them. A lot of those bowling balls make it in my bag. But if I really like any of those balls, I'm pretty sure I could just ask for more. But most times I just order them from, bowlerx.com, or I order them from the distributor and I drill them up for myself. So, there are a lot of bowling balls I still pay for, but there's not very many of us that actually pay for bowling balls. So just keep that in mind. Any thoughts on how Jacob will adapt? I think he'll strike more.
I think he actually had a reaction when I think it was last year when the PBA was banning urethane balls or any urethane balls that was ordered in 2020. He says, like, you know what, I'm just going to prove the haters wrong even more. It's not going to affect me. So I think
we'll have the same. Still making shows.
Yeah.
So
he was even
Which he wasn't leading anything by 600 pins, but he was still making shows pretty easily.
Like the 2 U.S. Opens in a row.
Yeah, that was sick.
That's insane.
Absolutely sick.
And I don't think he's fallen off the tour at all. I'm really happy he won that one title for his mom after that 4-year hiatus.
Jacob would be all right as long as he can get his head right. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, he just kind of got the bad end of the stick, I guess.
Yeah, and a lot of people were giving him the most crap about it because he made more shows than any lefty for a while. And everybody's like, oh, that ball made Jacob's career. Well, that's not really true because he was winning with booyahs and other, urethane balls and black hammers and everything else.
And the 300 he threw on TV was with a reactive ball, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Guys like him and Graham, both of those guys use reactive quite a bit. Justin Knowles is another one that actually uses reactive quite a bit. You do see the purple hammer in their hands more than anything else, but none of them guys are afraid of throwing urethane or afraid of throwing reactive. So I don't think there's going to be an issue there, But that's just how I see it. We're going to find out this weekend. There's for 48 feet out here, by the way, we're bowling on sharp again. Like you said, make sure to go to 10pindoctors.com. Check out the new resource there. What'd you call it? The knowledge base.
You have to log in first. You have to have an account too, but then you'll see it pop up and you can put a review in for a bowling ball. We have 1,800 bowling balls on there, all from different companies like Brunswick, Storm, and Motive.
Yeah, and they all are going to update automatically. So whenever a new ball comes out online, it's going to be updated on our website really quick, so you can see everything. You can put your own review in the bowling balls, right? They can actually review the bowling balls and talk about what they think about them.
Plus, you also have all these different specs. You can look at the RG and differential of the ball. You can sort it. You can look at the length of the pattern because we have patterns too. Kegel and PBA. There's like 62 total. You can sort by like Kegel Navigation Challenge. You can sort by PBA Legend, PBA Animal. I'm
pretty sure it's Kegel.
Did I say Kegel or Kegel?
You're saying Kegel, which I believe is a vaginal exercise.
Oh, okay.
The Kegel exercises. But it is Kegel, I believe.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But either way, I just had to make that joke there. I thought that was funny. Anyway, yeah. So make sure to hit that knowledge base and become a full member. Like pay the $9.99 because then you get discounts to clinics. You get to be in the giveaways where we give away bowling balls, and I do a lot of Bowlified jerseys, or you get $100 to order your own jersey. I think what do we got, like 50 members right now. So the more members we get, obviously the more chance you have, or the less chance you have to win. But right now we have less members, so this is the time to get in. So we're doing another ball giveaway, ball of choice, where you get to pick a bowling ball from bowlerx.com, and I buy it for you and send it to you personally. And I'll probably do some where I give away some books too. Some of my new books. I got the Art of Revolution, which is the release book. I got Mastering the Mental Game. And then I also have the Mastering the Approach book, and then a spec sheet book. Actually, I think, did I bring those in? I don't know. I think they're in my truck, but I have them. So it's just like the spec, not spec sheet, but it's the scorekeeping, basically. Keep your stats, the stat score, where you can keep track of everything you leave. And I have this temporarily because I do have an app coming out that's going to be able to do all this stuff for you and then some, including using AI to help you make moves and ball choices and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. It's coming really, 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 really fast. But for those of you who are old school, I know there's a lot of college schools that still write stats down. They still keep stats by, on sheets of paper and everything. This is perfect for you if you want to keep track of everything on hand. But make sure to head over to, actually go to bowlerx.com for that. Actually, I think I put links in the description for all of those books. You can go over there and order those. I ship them personally. So if there's a comment thing, you want me to sign it, you want me to send you a note, put lipstick on and kiss a sheet of paper for you, I'll do that. That's not a big deal. But
I like that question. The top one, will this stand for spare balls?
That I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think they would do it for spare balls as far as the two-year rule. I think it's just reactive.
I feel like I might have heard a hardness rule, though. I feel like
spare balls don't matter for that because they have to be, or
urethane, because I did see visible and
but they've never made a plastic ball softer than 88.
Yeah, these are spare balls, not. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking more polyester,
so technically,
Honey Badger.
Yeah, they said urethane which are bowling balls that do not absorb oil or absorb oil very, very, very slowly, is urethane So microcell polymer, not included. Any of the microcell balls, you don't have to worry about those being banned. They're good. But yeah, plastic, I mean, you don't
especially
have to
if you're shooting spares with them, you're not even going to be hooking at it. You're just shooting a spare with it.
Hey, bro, it's not a mobile home. It kind of is. It's a camper. It's my camper. We redid it. It looks nice. It's sweet. It's fun. I plug in right next to the bowling center. They let me plug in, and I just driving here was a pain in the ass because I filled up with water. So it's I don't know how many pounds I think it's 70 or 80 gallons of water underneath this thing. Driving on the highway, man, you start getting a little sway. That water starts rocking you. Woo! That was rough. There's a few times my auto brakes kicked in to make sure I stopped swaying. It was pretty crazy. But so we got a whole shower. We got everything here. We're good. But I like it. Saves me money. I don't spend $130 a night on hotels and stuff. Anyway, what was this? ABC dropped the ball back in the 80s because they never understood dynamic imbalance or simply didn't care. Yeah, I don't think they cared about a lot of the stuff that's going on now. I don't think they did enough research back then. They were more worried about how do I keep, the membership up because that's where their money was. That's, when they had 10 million members, that was a huge chunk of change. Could you imagine 10 million? What could they do with there's under 2 million members now, but could you imagine having 10 million members at what is it, $750 a pop that they actually goes to the national? That would be sick. What is it? I don't even know what would you do with that money? And that's kind of why I was a little annoyed with the whole thing, why the PBA can't get along with USBC, because if USBC would have been doing all the right things and just say, okay, we're going to up our, fee $1, and $1 of everybody's fee, that $1 is going to go to the PBA to support the prize funds and stuff like that. You know how much that would help? Even with just 2 million members, $2 million to the PBA. You sure that doesn't sound like much, but you're talking about increasing prize funds for a lot of events. Paying $150,000 to $160,000 to win instead of $100 on the the big ones. Do you think the PBA skills event this weekend is ironic considering what we are discussing and the hardness of the PBA skill 3.0 ball? How much? What's the hardness of those balls? They're plastic, right? Aren't they? Or are they? They're the
No
like
idea.
a mix. I don't really know what the skill balls are hardness wise, so I can't really say that it is ironic. It depends on what the hardness of them are.
Plus, the rule doesn't change until the 6th of next year, but I don't know.
Ball reviews I'm coming up with. Yeah, I just did both tanks. They sent me 2 tanks of the yellow jacket, the yellow tank, and they specifically asked me to lay them out the same. And one was at 3,000 grit, one was at 1,000. And I showed the difference, and there actually is a huge difference. So be on the lookout. That one's coming. The new Zen should be posted. Hopefully, we're posting that tomorrow. Also did that dynamic, the tour dynamics by Rotogrip, and then the clone by Rotogrip. So those are coming. I brought both of those balls with me this weekend, but I found out I can't use them, which sucks. But that's okay. And the Bloody Ocean Pearl is coming. I brought that one. I can use that one, and actually it did look pretty good in there. So swag might be in my hand on the shark pattern for 48 feet. We're going to get her done out there. Hopefully we can get title number 2 with the swag ball. That would be sweet. Did I like the Summit? Yes, Summit was another one that looked really good in here. The Summit looked really good. The gold label Zen looked really good for me. And that the Bloody Ocean Pearl looked really good for me. Oh, so the skills ball was 80, 82. Yeah, so that doesn't matter. So that's almost plastic-like. Or actually, that's Buffalo area. Buffalo is 81. So they didn't send me the Rhino. They sent me, I do have a bunch of the Brunswick stuff that they sent me that I just have not, I haven't done yet. They're sitting at the shop. I got to drill them. When I get back on Monday, I'm going to drill them. My shop was closed for like 3 weeks. The bowling center closed for 3 weeks for vacation. So we just stayed closed as well. So now I'll be back in there doing reviews and stuff. So we've got like 10 reviews coming in the next 2 weeks. So that Bowler X channel is going to be banging. But you got anything else to add? Anything else you want to talk about?
I was thinking the bigger implications would be on the urethane like balls. Like, which balls would those be? Like you said, microcell polymer would not be one, but polyester, I think they put in there as well. They have a list of them, and I know, like, we looked earlier at like the Motive ones. They had like the Rebel tank, the Covert was one of them, purple tank.
Let's pull up. I'll share the screen here in a second, guys. I'm going to try and find that list again.
Because those might be going from 73 to 78 as well. And as you know, like a reactive ball is going to have a lot less of a footprint as there too. And that can definitely affect your reaction quite a bit, depending on what part of the lane you're playing.
Right. All right. So let me go ahead and share this screen. Present.
I feel like most of them are from Storm.
What's that look like? Are we still on? Yeah, so we got to go like this. There we go. All right, so let's pull up this. We're going to pull up the appendix A through C. This will tell you everything you need to know. So if you guys haven't already, I'm going to go ahead and I'll copy this link and put it in the comments for you so you guys can go read this stuff if you want. Maybe.
And click on it, maybe.
Yep. So click on that link and it'll tell you, it'll show you this stuff. Now let's go down to that list of bowling balls. Yeah. So this will show you all the hardnesses of what they were testing at. Let's see.
I think it was at the way bottom.
Yeah. The very bottom is what they, which balls they were including in this, but you can see some of the hardnesses here. Like the Purple Hammer, yeah. So some of them got down to 68.
Yeah, like they have the average in there. Then, like for 10 games, like how
yeah.
would be.
So it shows you all the hardness testing they did on all these bowling balls here. There's a bunch of them. But if we go down to the bottom here, this will give you the urethane-like, which is these right here. These are the urethane-like balls, or the traditional balls. What they're going to traditional urethane balls is what they're.
So there was spare ball, hammer tough spare ball right there.
Yeah, because the tough was, I think they considered that. But either way, yeah. So,
yeah, most pitch. You can't forget the pitch series, of course, but that's not being used much anymore, is it?
No, not really. Anyway. Some guys use, Some guys use, like a pitch blue. I've seen some guys use a lot of the pitch blues. The big one's going to be the pitch black. Yeah, the IQ, those are international releases though. So those aren't going to make big difference. I'm kind of surprised to see the Rubicon UC3 on here because I didn't think that was urethane. I thought that was like what they considered reactive thane, kind of like a microcell polymer. But I guess I'm wrong.
And most of the tank series is microcell polymer, but they're not including those in here.
Yeah, the microcell polymer tanks are not included in here. These are the only tanks that are included in Motive. So you don't really have to worry about those.
Maybe send you. Okay.
Yeah, and then Swag has just the new.
There's Buffalo.
Those two, but those two are actually legal. Those are above the 70, the 78 range. Mm-hmm. Where'd the hammer? Okay, so here's so you got the so the purple pearl urethane, the black hammer. There was a blue. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of bowling balls that are going to wind up being taken off that are not going to be able to be used. So if you guys haven't, click on that link that I just sent you and go check those balls out so you know which ones are actually being included on the list for PBA. Not like this really matters for any of you because I'm sure most of you aren't bowling PBA events or at least national PBA events. So you don't have to be too concerned about it, but we do want to talk about it because it does affect what you're going to see on TV. I don't think you're going to see a lot of these balls on TV as much. Like you just saw, what was that last event they just did? The
PBA Tour Finals?
Yeah, the Tour Finals where everybody was using urethane. Mm-hmm. It was insane.
We had 2 300s on that show, EJ Teckett and Belmo.
Yeah. So,
or was that? I might be wrong, but
I don't know. I didn't watch it. I just know everybody was talking about how everybody was using urethane. So, it makes Motive look brilliant. The unfortunate thing is like with a lot of their microcell balls, they for me at least, they don't react like urethane. The purple tank did, but it was still too clean for a urethane ball. So, I don't know.
I think another good question is this would be my last one. With it going from the 5 degrees higher in the hardness, do you think like the really good professionals, including the lefties like Graham Faw or Jacob Buttriff or who else likes to use Jesper Svensson or any of those guys, do you think they can, for the games that do use it, even though they're probably going to use it a little less, do you think they'll be able to improve their scores and make adjustments, even though it's going to hook a little less for they are good, but I feel like the scores might be about the same.
I think it's just going to allow them to play straighter than what they did before. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of the purple hammers that like Graham used, I feel like he got forced a little bit too far right on a lot of the tour patterns. Mm-hmm. He's good on like these patterns out here. The regional patterns, they're different, but the tour patterns getting forced right is the problem. So I think he's going to benefit from this more than anything.
Yeah. Even I feel like I might benefit from it because I tend to be left eye dominant when I miss. So
yeah,
it's not going to overreact. And it's kind of, purple hammer is kind of a ball that hooks twice. It reads the front, then has that good back end reaction too. So
you saw where I was using that Buffalo a couple of weeks ago, and I tried to throw the purple hammer on fill balls, but I had to move like 6-7 boards left even to give it a chance. And even then it's still overhooked. It hooked too much in the front. Mm-hmm. So I loved being able to go straighter with the Buffalo the entire time.
Yeah, you can blend it out and don't have to worry about like catching it too much and it's going to jump on you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, I think that's all we got. I'm going to give you a last little, make sure you click those links in the description for those books and stuff. Order your books up. I'll ship them out to you myself. Otherwise, you can order them at Amazon if you just want them shipped directly to you quicker. Maybe quicker. I don't know if it's quicker or not, but Amazon will ship them to you too. If you want to go over to Amazon, you can look up those books there. They'll get them for you. Make sure to head over to 10pindoctors.com, sign up for an account, help us out with the knowledge base. Give us your reviews. Come on there, talk about the bowling balls, talk about all this stuff. Let's build that knowledge base up a little bit more. I'm going to get on and do a lot of my reviews on there and post a lot of the bowling ball reviews on there for a lot of these bowling balls as well. So you have those and they're listed on there. They're easier to come up with rather than trying to search for them on YouTube and stuff. You'll be able to just go straight here. So, yep. What squad are you bowling tomorrow?
A.
Yeah, so I don't bowl till B squad. So I'm going to go watch A squad a little bit and then I'll go and bowl B squad. But we are bowling on 48 feet. So it'll be interesting. It looked like scores might be a little higher based on practice, but
it was hooking a lot, I thought.
Yeah, I think they'll tighten up a little bit for tomorrow because usually the first run.
Usually with Shark, I like to get that little shim through the front, but
yeah. They were hooking early, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here. So we appreciate you guys coming on and joining us. We'll do this again. You know, hopefully Max will make the cut. I'll make the cut, and then we'll do it again tomorrow night. We'll see what happens. But
cool.
We're gonna get out of here, and we will see you guys later. Take care.
Peace.